Alright, YouTubelings. Today is a mental health project. I've been chained to my desk for months working on a big project, which is cool, but spring has sprung, the weather is here. If I don't get out here and actually make something, I'm going to go crazy, so here we are. Luckily for me, I got a thing right here that needs making. Where Kobe has a busted cover. Can't really see this corner of the machine from the cab, and I guess I have a tendency to run into stuff. It has become apparent that plastic is not up to the task. So today I'm going to make a steel one. Should be fun. Top half's not too bad. I figure I can cut it here-ish. Remake everything below out of metal. That's the extent of the plan. Let's dive in. As long as I'm doing some body work. This clearly took a pretty big hit at some point. Let's see the paint cracking where it folded over. Let's see if I can't get that bent back a little bit. Yeah, good as new, he said, pretty sarcastically. Okay, I've now got 2 pieces of steel bolted to the excavator. I don't know if you can see the bottom one very well, but you saw the bench when I was making it. Pretty happy with how it's going so far. It's going to be a fair bit heavier than I originally thought, but it should be nice and skookum. So that I have the sort of general shape I want, the next task is just to fill in between them. Don't have any particular needs for that shape or function, just need to bridge the gap. I spent a little bit of time tuning the edges. The main thing I don't want is this to poke out anywhere. I don't want a stick to be able to come and wedge under this. And so here I need to make sure that my closeout plate stays inside of this profile, and the same thing on the other side where the counterweight is. So once these 2 pieces are tied together, this should be really, really strong. And I shouldn't have any more sticks finding their way into that space. So onward and upward. Alright, kind of a crazy looking piece. If we come up here, fits pretty nicely, hugs this profile good. That's what I'm going for. Alright, so I just made this second piece. And I tried a couple of things, and I'm going to have to admit defeat here because I absolutely cannot figure out how to film this. I can't even just drop into a time lapse because I'm back and forth between two locations. I make a cardstock template, cut it out, and then bend and grind and bend and grind and come and check the fit until it looks like that. But running the camera back and forth and filming the whole thing is mind-numbingly boring and repetitive. And I can't figure out any way to condense it that still tells a story. So I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to make a bunch of these and weld them in, and then I'm going to bring you back for the reveal. So yeah, I mean, I guess you're sitting right there, so I might as well leave you on while I weld this. But after that, we're just going to bring you back after I have some filmable progress. Alright. I've turned 2 pieces of steel into 1 piece of steel. Between the filthy scrap steel I'm using and poor surface prep and upside down, backwards welding, and then just generally me not being a very good welder, those are some atrocious, atrocious looking welds. That's alright. When this thing comes off, I can tidy a lot of that up. I'm really happy with the shape and how the pieces went together, and it is going to be super, super skookum. Next step is to fit the portion of the plastic I want to keep. Then the steel can come off, get tidied up on the bench, and primed and painted. Alright, it's the next day. As you can see, and probably hear quite clearly, it's not quite as dry as it was. That's alright, I think I can make some progress in the tent here. So the steel part pretty much the shape that I want it. Now I have to work out this interface with the existing plastic. I've got, you can see the underside of this hatch here has a, I don't have enough arms, has a, I don't know what to call it, stiffening flange here. So I've marked down here where I can notch out to provide clearance for that. So once that's gone, this should lap over the top of the steel, and any dirt or water or mud or whatever will just run to the outside like shingles. So that's what I want. This latch has never had anything to engage with, so that's no big loss. This is of course got to get anchored. Around the counterweight here, it kind of tucks in between the steel and the counterweight, so it's actually kind of retained there with no fasteners. I think I'm just going to leave that. And here at the front, I knew it was going to be like this. I left in a step up here, so I think I can just put a bolt through there, and that'll pinch that pretty much where I want it. But that leaves the middle pretty floppy, and this, I don't want to smash that flat. That's too much of a distance to just close. So I think I'm going to make up some standoff or something to be in this general area, and then with 3 points of contact, I think that'll be pretty good. Alright, I'm set up on the drill press here. I think this is a little bit interesting. So what I want here is a round little puck of steel with a tapped hole in the center, essentially a tapped washer. I feel like the easiest way to make that is going to be with this hole saw. The trick is that the pilot for the hole saw is 1/4 inch. I want the tap to be M8, which requires a larger than 1/4 inch pilot drill. And after the disc is cut out, it's kind of a pain to hang on to. It's too small to fit in a vise easily. So the plan is I'm going to start drilling, I'm going to drill the pilot hole, and then I'm going to start the hole saw teeth in and get part way through the material, and then stop. I'm going to swap out the bit for the tap drill size, I'm going to drill the pilot out to that size, and I'm going to switch back to the hole saw and finish the cut. The idea being that the groove that I will have chewed in this up to that point will be enough to guide it for the rest of the cut without the pilot engaged. And that way, since this vise doesn't move, everything should stay nice and concentric, and it saves me figuring out how to hang on to that little piece. At least that's the plan, works in my head. Let's see how it goes. So far so good. Although there is, now that I think about it, which is really something you should do before you get this far, there is one big problem with this setup. Maybe you've already seen it. You're yelling at the screen, I can't hear you. What's going to happen here is this is an interrupted cut. I'm running out to the edge of this piece of scrap. There's two reasons for that. One, it uses the least useful part of the scrap. But the bigger reason is it gives somewhere for the chips to go. When you're doing a hole saw or an annular cutter cut, it doesn't do a very good job at extracting chips, so they tend to just kind of ride around in the bottom of the groove. And you just end up recutting chips, and it's not good. But if your cut pokes out the side, then the chips just flush out when they come around, and it goes a lot faster. Problem is, I'm squeezing on this part with the vise. So as soon as I break through, this will go into two pieces. It'll relieve the load on the vise, and something will happen. This is small enough, I'm not too worried about it. The plan is going to be to go through 95%, stop, and then finish it with a grinder. But if I overshoot, pretty low stakes. Calling it there. Yeah, that should work. There you go. One tapped washer. All right, one M8 tube standoff. Alright, I wasn't really happy with how that was sitting, so I just went and ground an angle into this. See if we can make that work better. Alright, that's a lot better. Well, that doesn't bode well. It takes a crowbar to come off. I don't love what that means for going back on, but... Why does this not want to come out? Oh, okay. Forgot, there's a couple of bolt heads under there I put clearance holes around. So we can only slide so far. But this tucks under there. And I put tabs on top. Yep, that's gonna have to change. There we go. Oh, cripes, this thing's heavy. Who knew steel weighed more than fiberglass? Oh. All right. Sort of the first time I've gotten a good look at this thing. Pretty happy with that. It's pretty cool looking, especially how these piece together. Don't look too close to these welds, we'll fix those. All right, I need to weld on that lug that we made. Need to notch out for the tank cover. And then the big thing is, I struggled getting it out, and that was these. There are 4 bolts in a row here, and these 2 used to hold on the plastic version of this cover and will now hold on the steel version. And the ones next to it actually go through the base plate and hold on something from either side. So I just blew big clearance holes in it. But then when I tried to slide this out, those bolt heads hung up in here and I couldn't get it out. So all I have to do is blow these out the side. That'll all be fine. And then what'll be a pretty big effort is I got to clean up some of these welds. They're just terrible. Like, I was doing them upside down and I didn't clean as well as I should have, and I'm just not that good. So that's hot garbage. We got to make it at least slightly less garbage. On the inside here, I put in a couple little tabs to rest it on while I install it and uninstall it. I can get to those a lot better, finish those welds. So yeah, package work, all pretty straightforward, not too much to talk about. So I think I'm going to drop you in a time lapse, which is good because my SD card's almost full anyway. I'll see you on the other side. Still not winning any beauty contests, but that is a substantial improvement. Got the welds tidied up. Got the bolt holes notched out. Got the lug welded on. I think this thing is ready for paint. Alright, that came out pretty nice. See if I can get you a before and after shot here. Yeah, I'd say that'll be a pretty big improvement. This fiberglass did a thing for a long time, but it is done now. Pretty confident this steel will hold up a whole lot better. Let's go put it on. Ah, last bolt. That was a much bigger pain in the ass than I thought it would be. Alright, it's on. Bolts are in. Doesn't have to come off for a long time. Alright, that part goes on and off easy, which is good because a lot of service happens up in here. Down below, I mean, unless I'm changing the suction filter in the hydraulic tank or draining the coolant, I don't really need to get under there. Yeah, that fits great. Hangs up on that seal a little bit. Once it seats, it's not even latched. It's just sitting there. Fantastic. All right, let me pack in my tools and we'll roll it out and get a good look at it. All right. Pretty pleased with that. It is heavy and solid and skookum, and I do not have to worry about any branches or anything poking up through that. You know, the original fiberglass did go all the way under here, but the bottom had broken out before I even owned this machine. So it has had no skid plate type protection since I've owned it. So this is gonna be great because these tracks do pull branches and things through. When I'm out in the woods, they'll grab sticks and drag them and rake this whole bottom. And there's fuel lines and hydraulic hoses and things under here that you really don't want to have snagged. This will do a great job of protecting those. And if I'm hanging a log from a chain or something like that and it swings and hits this, that's what destroyed the old one. You can't see down here from the cab. You can't tell when you're pressing on something. This will hold up to that really well. I mean, within limits. If I cannonball big logs into this on the regular, it's going to wreck it up just as much as plastic. It'll just take longer. The other side needs a similar treatment. It's not near as bad, but it would be an improvement. But I think I spent long enough on this. Came out good. I'm happy with it. It's going to do the thing it needs to do. And I got other things to get onto. So let's stop working on the machine and start working with the machine.